gin.
Gill is already on the drink.
Well, then why am I on the drink? Because it's the school holidays and it's a Tuesday night, and in the week when I work, I'm not allowed a gin on a Tuesday. So I am taking every opportunity to say, I'm on holiday. I'm on holiday. If I were away on holiday, I would be several gins down by now.
So obviously you're having a school holiday even though you don't work in a school. Is that right?
That's correct, because I had to finish up some holiday from my holiday year, otherwise I would lose it. So I am taking holiday.
Nice. Yeah. Along with the rest of the family.
Ben, what are we doing?
Sorry.
Instead of sitting at my office desk all day, I'm just sitting downstairs with a laptop on my knee. Did I freeze?
You froze on me for a second, and it made like a weird music. We'll edit it out. It won't.
Okay, no one will know. No one will know. It'd be a good job we weren't recording earlier, because my lights went out, didn't they?
They did. Just as we said hello, you went into blackout.
Pitch black.
Yeah.
Very exciting. About the most exciting thing that's happened this end, I can tell you.
Blown the fuse. But how has your week been, Jill?
So far, so good, Ben. But when this goes out live, on Friday, we won't go out live, but when this goes live, that's the phrase, isn't it? When this goes live on Friday, it will be a matter of hours until the kitchen disco.
I know, which is crazy, because in the last episode, we talked about this. You mentioned you'd done it, and I said, oh, we should do one of those, and we were like, yeah, that's good. And then a week later, we've done it.
We're making it so. Make it so.
Only a few days after filming, and we were like, yeah, let's do it. That's but that's all.
Playlist, Ben. The playlist is epic. But here's my question for you, my love.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours and 30 minutes long, and obviously we're only playing music. We're only playing music for an hour during the kitchen disco. Do we let Lady Luck, or rather Shuffle Luck, pick the tunes, or do we create our own cue list of our top choices?
Ooh. It's tricky, because you just know if you shuffle, you'll end up not having the ones you really want.
Well, I shuffled last time, and I jumped to one so that I got one I definitely wanted, and then it came up again, and so I had to jump past it. It came up twice.
I suppose you go for shuffle, and then as it gets to the last 10 minutes, you start going, okay,
take requests.
Yeah. Yes. That's what we take requests, take shout outs. Who knows, there might be a proposal.
My goodness, it could all happen Friday night.
It was Valentine's Day recently.
It was. Did you get many floral tributes?
No. Well, actually, no. I spent the day with the most important person in my life, me. So I didn't really have any. Yeah, I didn't really. I
thought you were going to say Archie the dog, but
no. No, I spent the day mostly just watching films and eating chocolate. It was like the perfect date, just on my own.
Very good. Which, in some ways, is the perfect date.
Yeah. I mean, I did Netflix and chill just on my own. Although, actually, no, that sounds dodgy. Oh dear.
Not as dodgy as your comment last time on a podcast about a bum in your face, Benjamin.
No. So we've got to clarify this, because we've had some questions.
We've had some questions about
which at least shows people are listening.
Yeah.
To the podcast, and it's not just us talking on our own. Last time, when I was asked why I didn't have a green screen behind me, I said someone would screenshot me and might put pictures behind me, such as a bum in my face. Separate words. However, the bum and in seemed to create one word, because I obviously rushed. And it sounded a bit ruder than I meant it to sound.
All right. I'm glad you've clarified. Thank you very much.
I mean, people apparently found it very entertaining, though.
Yes.
So at least we don't have any complaints. They were all positive comments about our situation. But talking about, not talking about that, but talking about Valentine's Day. I mean, what you did on Valentine's Day, I don't know. But talking about Valentine's Day,
yes,
a few weeks ago we talked about Valentine's Day.
We did.
And you said, you were hoping you'd get things for your letterbox.
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
Oh.
Well, I tell you what happened, and this is because Sim and I have been married 20 years this year.
Congratulations.
We bought each other the same card, and we bought each other the same gift.
Oh my God.
I know.
I mean, it shows that you're perfect for each other, I suppose.
Or that we're just really dull.
I mean, as long as it wasn't like the first thing that was on display in Sainsbury's and you will
what's weird, let me just say, it is weird because we both went to Thoughtful, which is very good. I don't know if am I allowed to mention online retailers?
Well, I mean, we're not big enough to be sponsored yet, so I think we're okay.
So the card thing online, Thoughtful, they have hundreds of cards, and we both chose the same one. Okay, and then the gift, which may not seem that romantic to other people, but was a Godminster cheese in a heart shape. So we have 2 Godminster cheeses in the shape of a heart.
I mean, if you like cheese, it's probably perfect.
And we do.
So it's perfect. You've got your own.
Yes.
No need to share.
Yes.
So,
but remember that half a cheese is better than no cheese if you do share your cheese. And I think there's a musical in that going on last week's theme as well.
What about cheese?
Yeah, it's like half a sixpence, only it's about cheeses.
Well, like half a cheddar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Half a cheese is better than no cheese.
Jesus. I think
Jesus, cheeses.
Jesus. No,
That's a whole different musical, Ben.
I'm out on that one. I'm gonna pass.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
we could. That's quite a good game, isn't it?
What, pitch a show?
No, yes, pitch a show as if it's Dragon's Den, and then you go, no, I'm sorry, I'm out. When you think the idea's not good.
That could be a future episode. Who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, talking about future episodes, we've hopefully got a few different guests lined up for the next few weeks. People have been contacting us, Jill. We've had a few people contact us about being part of the podcast, so we're definitely going to get them on at some point. But that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to today's guests as well, because Jill, because it's Valentine's Day, I'm treating you. I'm not just giving you one guest, I'm giving you 2 guests.
2 for the price of 1. You buy 1 guest, you get 1 free.
Yeah, I mean, knowing who the guests are...
A bog-off deal.
I mean, knowing who the guests are, we may wish to return them for a full refund. But we're very lucky to have 2 of our fellow ATC committee members joining us a little bit later.
The lovely Jennie and the lovely Louise.
I mean, you've spoiled it, but yes.
Oh, sorry. Was it a tease? Were we doing like a whisper campaign? Who would it be? Which of them will join us? Jennie and Louise.
It does say it'd be like the Masked Singer. Like, you don't know, there's just little clues dropped throughout. But I mean, no, it's not a surprise.
Did you watch it? Did you get sausage?
I did. I guessed who sausage was about. Well, when I started listening, I worked it out. I knew that it wasn't Sheridan Smith, who everyone kept saying it was. I knew it wasn't because it's not the same voice.
Yeah.
But it was very addictive viewing, I must say. Did you enjoy it?
I only saw the last one, and I only watched it because you've been papping on about it, to be honest, Ben.
So good. Well, I guessed the final. I guessed 2 out of the 3.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't even. That's because I'm old. I didn't even know who the one that was Badger. Yeah, I didn't know who he was. Even when he took his mask off, I was like, take your mask off again, because I still don't know who you are. Whereas Aston Marigold, the person who should be selling gloves, he was. I knew who he was.
Yeah, I guessed him as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good.
Marigold. Not Marigold. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yes, no, it was good viewing. It was good viewing for sure. We're possibly going to try and do our own Banbury version at some point. We've been asked by our friend Jeanette at Wacky Wardrobe whether we might do a Banbury one. I mean, it might be a little way off, but We'll see. Let's see what local people can get involved. I can't even remember what I was actually talking about before we talked about Oh yeah, but yeah, we have got Jennie and Louise. That's it. Yeah. We have got Jennie and Louise coming on a bit later. Don't worry, Joe, we didn't spoil it because it technically is in the title of this episode. Yeah, it's fine. But they're going to be talking about their experiences on stage, but also our topic of the week as well.
Topic of the week. I mean, you still haven't done it, have you? No. And Ben, you've had longer in between recordings, so obviously it's growing on you, and therefore it's going to stick.
I literally, each time before we film an episode, I go, oh, I haven't found any replacement music, so it'll just have to do for now. Maybe when we come to do series 2 of the podcast, we'll have one in the back.
We could launch a separate Taskmaster at the same time for other people to record a topic of the week little jingle.
Topic of the week jingle. I mean, that might not be a bad idea.
It's not a bad shout.
Maybe that could be a good competition, couldn't it?
Yeah. But obviously, with no prizes, the same as all of our competitions never have had any prizes all the way through lockdown.
No prizes. No
prizes.
Just pride.
Yes.
And our commentary.
Yes.
So, talking about our topic of the week, let's introduce what it is to the people. Our topic of the week that we asked on our Facebook page, which remember you can join and give your thoughts on. Our topic of the week was, what top tips do you have for running a successful community group or organisation? Which is quite a challenging topic in terms of, and quite a niche topic of the week, I'll be honest. For some, but I think it's worth discussing, and I think there's some things that people perhaps...
Could you hear that? Could you just hear me crunching an ice cube?
Is that what you were doing? I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay, good. I apologise if that's come out on the sound when it's been recorded. I do apologise that I was crunching an ice cube. I suddenly thought you can probably hear that. Good.
It sounded like you broke your teeth or something.
Whoopsie. Yeah. What's interesting though, it's such a nice topic because although we are coming at our podcast from an am-dram point of view, actually the stuff we can talk about today is relevant in all community groups. I'm part of a netball club. My husband and so is Katie, and my husband and son are part of the Banbury Rugby Club, and we've had some chats about the sports side of this as well. And I also know that there's been a lot of good volunteering going on through lockdown. I'm a trustee for Citizens Advice in Banbury, and they've had some amazing people volunteering for them, and they do such good work. So actually the kind of tips that we might get to talk about today through this podcast, I think are relevant in a lot of different areas across this community. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's stuff that people might not realise goes into running these sort of groups that we might talk about and discuss, and hope maybe even start a conversation for people to maybe get more involved in the running of things, or feel like they can ask questions, because it's a lot of work that goes into these things, and it should be appreciated, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really interesting, actually you make a very sound first point about how much work goes into running a community group, and often the people who are running it are very passionate about it, and therefore they commit that time, and then to those people running it, it's sometimes odd when they look at other people and think, why do they not want to do what I'm doing, and there's that whole kind of mismatch sometimes between the amount of time people have to give to things, and the first thing that is certainly when I've been talking to people running sports clubs is you've got to recognize when you're running these groups that people come at it for different reasons, and therefore you can't just apply kind of one rule, or well, everybody's got to commit however many ridiculous hours and always be available every week and be able to do this, because so many people's context is different. And that's the organizations that get this right work out ways to let people enjoy being part of that group and that community without it having to become all of their life. Does that make sense? Yeah,
I agree. I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's about making sure that everyone everyone is maybe putting things into how it's running and has the correct amount of commitment. You know, like if you're joining a drama group because you want to perform, then great, but you obviously need to commit to the rehearsal process and be able to manage that.
Yeah. Same with sports clubs. You know, if you want to play in a team, then you've got to commit to it. But actually, do you have to commit and play in every, you know, on a Monday night, on a Wednesday night, on a Sunday, on a and make it fill up your entire life? Well, maybe not everybody's wanting to do that. So it's about letting people enjoy it is the key word, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also I think there's only so much, and this needs to be taken the right way, there's only so much you want everyone to get involved in the running of something. You know, the phrase too many chefs or too many cooks, whatever it is important.
That well-known phrase of saying too many chefs spoil the roux.
That's all right. But it's true though, isn't it? Like, yes, whilst we want people to help possibly and try and support, I think you don't want everyone doing the same amount of commitment as the people running it, because you need someone to, or a small group of people to decide what are the right ideas.
Yeah. And then the kind of the second thing that comes out of all of that, Ben, is communication. And because of that, because there are a small group of people who run something and steer something, it's about how well you then communicate with the people who are also involved. And if you get that right, and if you keep mixing that up and you know, targeting your audience right, then you're already probably kind of 80% of the way there. And if you think, you know, lockdown and the last year has meant every community group has had to think differently about communication. You know, something that we would always have done live at weekly rehearsals, or if you're a sports club at your training sessions, you talked about what you know, what next and where next and who's doing well and all of those things. Everybody's had to rethink that, find different ways to stay in touch, and it's that communication and creativity with that communication that's probably helped some clubs thrive and some clubs struggle, or some community groups struggle through this process.
Yeah, and obviously this whole lockdown process, I think community groups have obviously been struggling. And as you say, it's about how much people have been. That's a whole other conversation, I think, within this whole running of a committee, which we will touch upon, about how groups have managed to keep some form of community within themselves going over this period. Shall I redo a couple of the comments we've had?
Well, are you saying, shut up, Jill, you've had a gin, you're talking too much?
No,
I'm not. What you're saying? Is that what you're saying, Ben?
I'm just aware that we've got to welcome our special guests soon. That was all.
All right. Oh, just say shut up if I'm so...
No, you've made some lovely... Oh, God, she's had a drink. She's getting violent. She's going to trash the room in a minute. So we had a comment from last week's guest, Amanda, who we did talk about the idea of being part of a committee, because she's the treasurer for Banbury Operatic Society, and she gave her thoughts. She said there are also many roles, jobs that need someone to do them to help keep the society running without it being a formal committee role. So if people are thinking they'd like to help but can't commit to a committee level involvement, those areas are where they might be able to contribute. I think that's a really good point. I think it links to what you were saying about how much people can commit. I think when you're part of a community group, you do perhaps sometimes have to do a little bit more to keep that group running and support it, because that's, you know, usually it's not run by somebody who's being paid and employed, and it's not fair to leave it all on one person. But it doesn't mean you necessarily have to join the committee that meets regularly and has a specific role that is required. Sometimes, I always say, sometimes one of the most important person when we do a show, to me sometimes, is just the person who's there who says, do you want me to make the tea? Like someone who's just there to sort of say, do you want me to do any odd jobs? What do you need me to do? You know, who can just, if I can say, oh, do you mind just popping to this shop and grabbing that? Someone who's just there going, look, tell me what you need me to do. They're sometimes the most useful people in that situation.
Yeah. And also people who go up really high ladders, they're also very useful, aren't they, Ben?
Well, for our thing, yeah. I mean,
it's not quite so useful for netball, but yeah, for us,
Like at rugby, why are you up the... I mean, to be fair, being up ladders for netball probably gives you an advantage.
Well, it does, but you're not allowed to take them on the court, so...
Oh, well, I won't be playing then. So I was just
6'7". I don't know if anybody watched any of the Vitality Netball Super League over the weekend, but it's being televised live on Sky, and I watched them all. And 6'7", one of the goal shooters is.
Oh my lord!
You think I'm tall, mate? But
yeah,
I'm 5'10", so she's nearly another foot on top.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And we've also had a message from Kay, who does some work with the Linden Players, which is another local group in our area, who said, and we're going to definitely discuss this question. She said, I'd be interested to know how other groups stay connected while we can't meet in person. So we'll definitely talk about that.
Let's talk about that, yeah.
We have our guests. In fact, I'll save this abreast of this message, I think, for our guests, because that's definitely something that we can discuss. But I think that brings us to a good time to perhaps introduce them, Jill.
Welcome them, yes, indeed do.
Even though we've already introduced them.
Oh, sorry.
But it's fine. It's fine. But yes, we're delighted to discuss these ideas of running a committee and being part of running a group and running a community organisation. Two of our fellow Avocet Theatre Company committee members. Please welcome Jennie Healy and Louise Nunneley.
Woo woo!
Hello.
Welcome. Hello.
Hello, Jennie.
Hello.
Hello, Louise.
Hello.
Thank you both.
Oh, lovely faces, Ben. Lovely faces.
I know. Shame about you. But so I sat there with her gin and tonic. She's. By the way, Jennie and Louise, that glass was full to the brim about 15 minutes ago, and she's nearly finished it. So.
By the way, Jennie and Louise, do I care?
No.
Half term.
After exactly, Louise. Thank you.
In fact, I think she's taken a long time to drink it if it's been 15 minutes.
Jennie, my love.
Yes.
That is true. That's because it's flat, apparently. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Thank you both for joining us. Obviously, our two of our fellow ATC committee members and trustees, which is important based on our topic of the week that we're talking about. But before we go into talking about our topic of the week, we like to do a bit of an introduction to who you are. So Jennie, we'll start with you, Jennie, if that's all right. Jennie, first of all, tell us what you do in the real world.
Oh, in the real world, I run an office in a primary school. And obviously I'm off for half term this week, which is a fantastic, nice break.
Absolutely.
And so where's your drink?
I've already drunk it.
Okay, good girl.
Want to bring it on.
Yeah, but yes.
Jennie,
my reputation is damned and bad enough as it is, so I'm trying.
They're not drink on our podcast by the end of it.
I'm trying to display a different kind of Jennie this evening.
Oh, what, grown up and sensible?
Yeah.
Hello?
That is new. And Louise, tell us what you do.
I'm an e-commerce assistant, which probably doesn't mean anything. I work for a martial arts company. They make and sell martial arts stuff, and I help put it on the website and deal with database and things like that.
Not been doing that long, have you? What were you before, lady?
I've only been doing that 2.5 years. I was a music teacher. Yeah, secondary school music teacher for 13 years, which is the same amount of time as Greg Davis. I'm just saying, just putting that out there.
Well, he wasn't a music teacher though, was he? He was a drama teacher.
He was, but then he quit at 13 years and became a stand-up. So I'm assuming
that's what's going to happen.
That's what happens.
You're going to become famous.
Yeah, that's what happens. Nice.
Good. Very strong. Very strong.
It's a valid. It's a very strong argument. So tell us then when your first experience was treading the boards and how you got involved in performing.
Ben, can I just say good use of the title of the podcast. Well done, you.
Thank you. My computer, and it probably will have it on the recording, as you said the word title, it really slowed it down like it was a slow motion effect.
Oh, nice.
Yes, but thank you. I try and drop in that title when I can. But when do you start treading the boards? And
Could you also, in a second, Ben, could you just say the phrase topic of the week so I can do my jingle?
Yes, when we get to that,
okay.
We'll do.
All right. Shh. Sorry.
Drinking gin and tonic while we're doing the podcast becomes all rowdy. But I'll ask it for a third time. Okay. When did you start treading the boards, and when did you join us as a group? Is my other question. So there's two questions there. Jennie, I'll go to you first.
Okay, I started about 10 years ago when ATC was formerly St John's. Our good friend Emma brought me into the group to help out with some bits and pieces, and I ended up being in about 5 or 6 different things in the original one night only show. And from there I found myself sort of sat in the group reading through the pantomime, which I said I wouldn't be a part of, but all of a sudden I was more than one part of. In fact, I think I had 2 parts. So that's when it started for me, and then of course it's carried on with ATC. That's mine.
You've been treading the boards yourself for many years, haven't you, Jennie?
Well, I loved to perform when I was younger at school, like most of us here probably. I did used to go to the London Contemporary Dance School long time ago, so yeah, I've always had a big interest in things like this. So yeah, it was nice to kind of come back after about 25 years and start to do it all again. So yeah, wouldn't change it for the world. Love it. Love it.
And the rest is history, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Louise, same question for you.
I think much like a lot of us, I started quite young. I started dance at 3, and I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure we did shows. But I carried on dance when we moved to this part of the world, and we did a couple of shows in my dance school, and then secondary school. Actually, no, sorry, primary school. I was in a production of St. Nicolaus, which is the German Father Christmas story, and it was all in German. So I had no idea what I was saying.
School?
Yeah, year 6.
Bloody hell. I'm allowed to say bloody hell on a podcast?
I mean, you've
done it.
Yeah.
I said tits last week and the week before, so...
I mean, the start of our podcast, our little introduction, Jill, we were talking about all sorts in terms of Valentine's Day. So.
Oh, were we? But yeah, I remember now.
Yeah. Anyway,
so
Louise,
you spoke German in year 6.
Well, I don't remember I don't think I understood what I was saying.
But you picked up the accent and got away with it.
Yeah, I think so. And we did, because we sang Silent Night in German.
Stille Nacht.
Exactly.
Heineken. No, I don't think it's Heineken.
Heineken. Oh, yes. Well-known Heineken Nacht. Yeah.
You can only have those in half term, Heineken Nacht.
Yeah. I mean, that carried on to secondary school. We were really lucky that we got a really amazing head of music when I was in year 11, and I was in Greece. I got to play Sandy.
Me too.
Oh! Sandy's. It's awesome. I loved that. And then even at university, when I did my music degree, I was still in the performing arts group. I can name drop, because the director for the performing arts group in my first year was Jason Manford.
Ooh.
Lovely guy. He directed us in Bugsy. That was fun. And then as a music teacher, I didn't tread the boards, but yeah, carried on with shows. And then I joined you guys in 2018 for Snow White.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I still remember, Ben, I don't know if you remember us going for lunch in the Auctioneer that summer.
Yes, I do actually.
I was quitting teaching. It was the summer I was leaving. Mm-hmm. And I thought, right, I'm going to have more time. I've always wanted to be in amateur theatre. And I remember going to you, what are you doing next? How do I audition? And then that November I did.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
I think we made you musical director at the same time as giving you a part, didn't we? We went, and Louise, here's your part, and also can you be musical director? Thanks.
I think it was there was a bit of a stagger. It was, here's your part, and do you fancy doing a vocal warm-up? Yeah, no, that's fine. I think it was kind of towards the end of Snow White, wasn't it? And you went, do you want to be on the committee? And I was like, yes, absolutely. What are we doing next? Let's go.
Perfect.
We obviously went on to do a youth musical where obviously MD definitely is essential for sure.
Definitely. It was so nice, even though I'd left teaching, kind of like, obviously music teaching, you're kind of constantly doing something, and you're working towards performances with choirs and things like that. To have left that behind, but to still be involved in something, and particularly working with the kids in our group, it was awesome with Elf. Elf was amazing. It was so much fun.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the last thing we did properly before lockdown, sadly, in terms of...
Oh, well, with ATC, Bodycut, it's the anniversary of Spamalot. So 1 year on from Spamalot this time last year. So look out for pictures posted for that, yeah. And we always use February half term for Bodycut shows. So I am literally boring them all every day in half term by posting another picture. Oh, here's us from 3 years ago with a plant, Jennie inside the plant. Here's us from 2 years ago doing The Sound of Music. Here's us from last year doing Spamalot. So yeah, apologies to my Bodycut team, but that's going to keep going all week.
It was actually, I must say, one of my finest moments.
Because we couldn't see you, Jennie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The stuff I got up to behind that plant, you will never know.
I will know, because I was backstage and I could see exactly what you were getting up to behind that.
It was too dark. I didn't realise it. No, seriously, it was brilliant. It was really good fun, that show. And yeah.
We should probably clarify that show is Little Shop of Horrors, and it's not just Jennie interfering with a plant randomly.
With my son being the voice of the plant as well. It was a double act.
Family affair.
And that's how, and from a Bodycut point of view, that was the moment when the rest of the Bodycut leaders went, do you know what, I think Jennie's committed enough to be a leader. Because she'd been on all fours for a whole week being a plant.
I tend to sort of be on all fours for most of the shows that we do in some way or the other.
Really? That's where we're going? 10 minutes in? Jennie, honestly.
I was about to say, is being on all fours one of the prerequisites of being a Bodycut youth leader?
Well, yeah.
It's that, or you have to play a tree. You've either had to prove you've played a tree, you have to sweep water uphill, or you have to be on all fours. Those are the prerequisites for being a leader, yeah?
For sure.
Right. Well, I mean, makes our introduction to you, Louise, onto our committee a lot simpler by the sounds of it, onto the ATC committee. So talking about that then, let's talk about, here we go, our topic of the week.
Topic of the week, Look, Jennie was actually dancing to that, Ben. I mean, you can't say it hasn't caught on.
He's pitying you. But anyway, tell us, Jennie, in terms of ATC, what do you do for because we're both on the committee, what do you do for the ATC as a committee member?
I'm the membership officer, so I make sure that everybody's membership forms are in, and that we've got all of the details and everything that we need from all of the adults and children that are part of the group. I also kind of play mum to the group as well a little bit, especially on the children's shows. Make sure that all of the child protection things are in place, and that, you know, the children are safe. Kind of like my main role on the committee as such. In terms of shows, I spread out and do things like the makeup and overseeing hair, costumes and things like that too. So that's my little area.
Yeah, and obviously sort of the idea of having someone who's in charge of membership, that's obviously something that I think is quite important for community groups, and just someone who can make sure that not only are the forms filled in and everything, but that any maybe little issues that might not be picked up on by, especially in a drama group, like the director, is perhaps just heard about and perhaps fed back. I think that's really useful to have that person. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if there's any communication that needs to be made with children or via parents or anything like that, then I tend to be the one that does that. So yeah. Right hand man for you, Ben, in that respect, I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Louise, you obviously joined us. You obviously said you're sort of you joined the committee a bit later, and you sort of oversee our more music side of stuff. What was it like joining, because our committee was pretty much established and had been established as like the founder members. What was it like coming into a committee a bit later that was already been established?
It was really nice for me. This is the first committee I've ever been on. You know, my parents were on different committees when I was a kid, so I had a kind of rough idea of the kind of things. Like my mum was treasurer for a lot of things, so I had a kind of idea what a committee was. So coming onto one that was established, and you guys, you know, because you'd set it up together, and it was kind of all ready to go. It felt really easy just to join in, and you guys made it. I mean, there's the thing. It's so much fun. Like doing Snow White was just so much fun, like every week, and getting to be with you guys and chat and everything. So then being on the committee was just that much easier, because I just felt, okay, so this is good. I also knew that if I'm like sat there going, what do you want me to say? Like, what's going on? I can just ask any of you guys, and it's just really easy.
That's a really good point though, Louise, because I think what puts a lot of people off getting more involved with community groups, say they're a part of something, a sports club or a different kind of group than the drama side, they think there's something special about being on the committee, or they think there's something cliquey about it. And that's really lovely to hear that, certainly in your experience, that it was just nice and easy, and nobody made it hard for you. And you know, that puts a lot of people off, I think, that thought of, oh, I've got to put myself into a situation that's new, or you know, what if I don't know what's going on? And you know, most groups around Banbury are all friendly, and they all have people that they're so pleased if they get new people involved, that you know, it's genuinely you know, bend over backwards to make them feel as welcome as possible, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it just was so easy, and it does kind of help, obviously, because Ben, I've worked with you, so I knew you really well anyway. But I don't think it was just that. It was all of you guys. It was very welcoming. It was, you know, this is the reason, and then you guys, everyone's just ready to help. So yeah, it made it really easy, because I must admit, you do, when you say, oh, I'm on a committee, it does suddenly feel like, oh, it's this very special, mysterious thing, and we do mysterious things in the committee meeting, and we don't. We just sit and we chat and we organise stuff, and that's what I love to do.
I do typing. That's what I do. It's quite mysterious, because you lot know, especially now we're on Zoom, you don't know that I'm typing at the same time, because I'm still looking at you, because I do touch typing, which must freak you right out.
You do crazy fast typing.
Fast typing.
It's so cool. And then the minutes are out, like
before you're home.
Yeah, within seconds.
And you are at home these days when you're on Zoom.
We are at home.
Before you get out of that door, I've sent them to you. Yep.
Close the Zoom down, and there they are. And I'm like, how have you done this? This is amazing.
Whoa.
And so
efficient.
It's because I've had a gin. I'm blowing my own horn. Trumpet, tutor, not horn. Horn's the wrong word, Ben.
What is this episode? But I think it's important. It's definitely important, and I know what works really well for us as a committee is that we are all very friendly and we are good friends, and we'll, you know, you say we're welcoming, but that's because we genuinely enjoy each other's company. And you know, we have our own sort of social events that aren't to do with committee. Like we, you know, it's not like the only times we ever meet is to talk about drama. We do, obviously at the moment it's a bit trickier, but we do go out and have drinks and have a meal and just catch up. And I think that is important, that you get on, because especially with these community groups, they are a hobby. They're something that we do because we enjoy them. We automatically have similar interests because of that, and so we need to, you know, we should be able to get on. And I think you have to get to that stage as well, where you get on, where you can then also equally be honest with each other and say what ideas you don't think will work and what will, and build on them, and not necessarily put each other down, but it's just about going, okay, well, how can we develop that idea, which I think we do really well, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's great, obviously, when we do throw things open and everybody's got an opinion on things. And you know, so many times I've sat in the meetings and thought, oh wow, you know, really didn't think of it. That's so much of a better idea than what, you know, we originally had. And just throwing everything into the pots like we do, and you know, coming up with good suggestions is great. It's really, really good.
definitely.
And that's been the thing, hasn't it, guys? I mean, Ben and I were mentioning it before you guys came on, but the last year has, from a committee point of view, the biggest thing we've need to be every time we've met is creative, because it's just been unprecedented, hasn't it? This whole kind of, oh, I'm sure we'll be able to, and we have the same 2 shows lined up. Do you know what? I checked my diary for something, Ben. You'll like this. I was putting a date in for the end of March, and it said Moana.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
All day, Moana, Friday the 26th of March and Saturday the 27th of March. And so I had to delete it, and it made me really sad. That was this morning.
I've got the same, those dates for Moana, which would have been our next show, are still in my calendar, and I haven't bought myself, I just can't bring myself to delete them for some reason. It is strange. But yeah, talking about that then, one of the questions we had, or one of the comments we had for Topic of the Week on Facebook was one that I said, we'll save for everyone. It's a 2-parter, so I'll do it in 2 parts. Kay, as you do. Kay,
so smart, this boy.
Mr. Pro. Kay from Linden Players, who's been involved with Linden Players, asked, said she'd be interested to know how other groups stay connected whilst we can't meet in person. And Linden Players have been holding regular Zoom meetings, play readings, and social activities. So obviously, I'm really proud of what we as ATC have done during this lockdown and how much work we've put in terms of, we've obviously done sort of 2 full-length video productions, so a variety show and then a Christmas variety show, which were all filmed under correct guidance and social distancing and at home and things like that. But that obviously took a lot of work. We've obviously had different events, haven't we? We're ranging from just individual quiz nights and just catch-ups to read-through sessions where we're reading through different scripts. What else have we done? Lots.
And the Taskmaster series. So we were on every day trying to get people doing something and feeling engaged with things in the first lockdown. So
yeah, the Taskmaster challenges and everything, which again you could do, we obviously opened up to everyone, but you could do within a community group, couldn't you? You can ask, we kind of
used this first lockdown for Bodycut was a lot of that, different challenges on a Friday night, which was fun.
How have Jennie, how have you found sort of having these different events that we've been doing? How have you found it during lockdown?
Well, they've been my lifeline personally. I mean, I miss being on the stage and everything to do with all the productions that we do so much. And yeah, it's just been fantastic just having that focus of putting the shows together. For me personally as well, of course, it's fantastic because I've got Will and Jess, my daughter and son, obviously, that are both really, really interested in the same thing. And so there's been lots of stuff that we've been able to do together as a family. And I can say that my phone is absolutely crammed full of the funniest outtakes of all the things and the photos and the videos, everything that we've done. Literally, I could make an entire kind of series just on those alone. We occasionally through lockdown we'll get them out and we'll start looking through them again and we'll laugh again, and it's fantastic entertainment for us as well. But yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been really great being part of the committee, obviously putting all of these things together and putting opinions across and just working on things, and that excitement of things developing and the ideas coming out, and then sort of working through it all and then actually having some kind of show or something at the end of it. It's been an absolute lifeline for me personally and for my family. So yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's lovely to hear. And I think the one thing that I know some groups who I've spoken to from other groups have said is obviously that it's about who you have who can do those things, like the video stuff, and only because I have experience with editing have we been able to perhaps do that, whereas if I didn't, we probably wouldn't have approached that. And I don't think necessarily every group should be held to that standard of, oh, you should all have done a virtual show by now, because it's not only about technical knowledge, it's about what people are going through in their lives at the moment. We've got to appreciate that. But I think, for some people, just that idea of keeping that sense of community and just having those calls
I was going to say exactly the same thing, Ben, and relate it back to the sports communities as well, that, because you go from being part of a team and playing sport together and training together and all of those things, it was so important that community groups from the sporting clubs also found ways to stay in touch and stay connected. And we had an amazing Strava challenge that Leslie from the Netball Club sorted out, that went across the whole of Oxfordshire. So every netball club in Oxfordshire had a Strava challenge, and we were competing to get the mileage, to get right the way around all the netball playing nations in the world. Brilliant fun. It's that if the clubs have put their creative hats on and come up with ideas that have really resonated with people. One of the key reasons that Leslie started a Strava challenge is we were struggling to engage in the netball stuff we were doing. So we're doing weekly Zooms and chats and exercises and things like that, but we weren't really engaging some of the older teenagers. So 15, 16-year-olds were, I'm not going on a chat with Jill Crowther because she's dull and old. And actually, that's Leslie found ways to say, well, what would they like to do? Well, they'd like to have a reason to go out and walk with someone, or they'd like to get on their bikes and for it to be with purpose. So that's where all the Strava stuff came from. And that's brilliant. And it's mixing it up, isn't it? It's finding just the thing that connects to a particular group, and then doing something different the next time, type thing.
Absolutely. I'm going to read the second part of this comment as well. I've been involved with running the group for several years. Often the same person has been doing a job for years. So set building, costumes, painting, props, things like that. It's important to share these skills and get new people involved in helping. I think that's a fantastic top tip that people often don't think about. I think sometimes we run the risk of being quite protective over what we do. And because we have, especially if we've developed that role and we've made it something quite special, you become protective. It becomes, but at the end of the day, and I say this about ATC, the point of us setting up a group is not that it's about us, and it's about creating something which is going to go on and on, hopefully. And if one of us was to step down or whatever, it could continue in some form. And the idea of being that this is mine, this area of theatre is mine, the group is mine. If you then, God forbid, something happens to you, I know, how guilty would you feel if you knew that the group had to stop because your role couldn't be filled? Because I think you've got to be willing to allow other people in. You've got to be willing to, and recruit those people as well. I think for drama groups, one of the big issues that a lot of drama groups has is that they go out of their way to recruit performers, but without your production teams, your technicians, without your front of house team, your props makers, all that, without those people, it's pointless. So you've got to put as much effort into recruiting those types of people as well as your performers. Would you agree?
Definitely. That's what I really love about the ATC kind of family, is that everyone pitches in. Like, if I think back to the get-in for Snow White, it didn't matter which bit, what your title was. We were all out there doing something. I mean, we and Ben were making placards, and what was really lovely about the get-ins is the parents, and for Elf as well, actually, seeing all of these parents actually getting involved and kind of going, well, actually, I'm not too bad with a paintbrush, or I can, chop up a bit of wood or whatever, and just everyone just mucks in, and no one's going, oh, well, I was going to do that, and you're stepping on my toes. It's not that at all. And I think if you get like that, like you said, it kind of stalls. I've been the only one. I've been in quite a few music departments where I'm the only music teacher in the school. So I did make it my point, not anymore. I did make it my point to seek out, because there's musicians everywhere. You find them, normally in the maths department, don't know why.
It's weird.
it's always the maths department. I'm thinking
James,
of
yes.
I'm thinking of a particular maths teacher from Banbury who I went, you play the piano? How fascinating. Do please come along to my choir rehearsal. And you can't be that protective over it. If I'd done that, my music departments would have gone nowhere. I just wouldn't have achieved anything, because you just don't. You need people, and you need people who are versatile and who will just get stuck in.
That's where Yobbos is so brilliant, Ben, because you guys do the backstage and all of the technical side as well for that week. And we, at Bodycut, we've been really lucky as well, and we've developed some people who've gone from being on the stage to running the lights and back. In fact, tried to do both in the same production. But that kind of young talent that we've got in Banbury that can do some of the technical stuff, that can help build sets, and we've had young choreographers helping out and things. So it is growing that talent as well, and giving people opportunities to have a go.
It's been great, hasn't it, Jill? I mean, just, looking at things like some of the ATC crew that then, when we were doing Spam-A-Lot last year, they were volunteering to come and do hair for us and just help out with makeup and other bits and pieces. They really wanted to be involved with it and a part of it, which has been really nice. And like we say about, parents helping out at the shows and things like that, especially with Elf, because it was such a huge show. And, we kind of, I suppose, in some ways underestimated just the amount of children and costumes and changes and everything that we had. The parents just stepped up and just did an amazing job and just went above and beyond to sort of make all of that happen, which, we're really, really grateful for. And it's great for them as well to be part of something that's, to do with their children too. So that is,
and that is the nice thing about Banbury, isn't it? If you think of that Amdram Treading the Boards community, hopefully they're all listening, but the crossovers between all the different groups is so fantastic. Front of house crossovers, Sue had brought together such a brilliant team for us, front of house, and brought in people from Boss and various other clubs. Mandy was backstage with us from Bodycut doing stuff for ATC, and Megan from ATC came over to Bodycut to help us. I could go on and on about all these different, I'm sorry if I haven't mentioned you, because there's so many people that literally pull out every stop to support the theatres, to support all the different groups, and that is so good.
I feel like it's a Banbury thing though, because I've taught in I'm trying to remember how many counties I've taught in, because I live in Northamptonshire, and I taught in Northamptonshire to begin with, and I've taught obviously in Banbury, and I've taught in Oxford itself, and I can honestly say that feeling of everyone just wanting to help each other, and everyone, it's that kind of feeling it feels like a Banbury thing. I can't really explain it. I didn't find it before I came to teach in Banbury, and I didn't find it when I left. And you come back, and it's just, I know various names just from doing Banbury school shows, and then because everyone will just go, I'll give you a hand, and so-and-so will help you with this, and it's like, where have all these people come from? I don't know you. How is this happening? And it's such, I don't know, I feel like Banbury just obviously attracts these wonderful, helpful and performing people.
Really interesting, because I was chatting to my husband, who's been part of Banbury Rugby Club for many, many years, who's head coach for Ben's age group as they've gone through the years. They're Colts now, so he's sort of stepped away.
Not me, Ben.
Not that Ben, sorry, my Ben. Yeah, not Ben. You don't play rugby, do you, darling? No, it's not good for the face. It's not good for the face. They at Banbury Rugby Club do something very interesting, which is that they have a different cost structure. If you want to have a lower membership fee, you have to give the hours of helping and being part of the sort of volunteering community, which is really interesting. Works very well for them, because I think in terms of the sports coaching, if you're not one of the coaches, it's easy not to feel as involved and just sort of stand on the sidelines. Whereas Banbury have done a brilliant job there of making sure that the parents do get involved and take on roles and actually kind of give their all through the season as well. So that's interesting. We haven't had to resort to that, but there've been a few shows where, sorry, my video's gone off.
Yeah.
It's all right. Screensaver clicked in. I thought, do you know what I'll do? I'll keep talking while I type my password.
I mean, it is a podcast. It is a podcast. That's including your voice.
Yeah, we have had a couple of shows, a couple of moments, Ben, where we thought, oh my God, we're not going to get the help we need to be able to, Anna Bodicott, to be able to put the show week on. And we've had to do that kind of desperate call out for help. But it's always come, and that's where it's nice, because it's not always come just from the parents involved in the show, but from other people as well. But yeah, it's a really interesting one, that balance, isn't it, between if someone's involved in a show, how much can you expect the rest of the parents, if they're a child, or the rest of the family, to get involved and support it as well. It's such a balancing act between asking too much of people versus actually people stepping forward and doing their bit.
Like I said as well, Jelly, you know, until they actually do, then they don't realise what good fun it actually is. It's stressful, but what good fun it is as well, and just seeing their children in that light as well is a real benefit for everybody. So I recommend it.
I do think, though, on that, and one thing that I say to a lot of people is, when we talk about the fact that it's our hobby and, you know, we should enjoy it, I do agree with that. But we always have to remember, and I've said this many times, I've probably said it to us as a committee at points, we've always got to remember that this is one of the few hobbies where we are expecting people to pay to come and watch us do our hobby. So, you know, that's why I always think we've got to put that work in, we've got to put the effort in. And sometimes, as we talked about when we talked about mental health and things, Jill, it will sometimes get a bit stressful, but that's because, you know, other hobbies, if you're doing knitting or doing art, you don't get people paying to come and watch you do that. You know, it can be your own thing, but with this, you are asking, and sometimes because obviously prices are going up to stage a show, you're asking people to pay sometimes quite a big amount of money to come and watch you. And so that help needs to be there to make sure that happens. Not just because things need to be done, but because of health and safety and stuff like that. You know, when we say to people sometimes, look, if we don't get the support backstage, then this show can't go on. That's not just a threat that we're not going to follow through on. It's true. If we were ever inspected, we'd have to shut down. And then, linking back to something else that was said earlier as well, which when Jennie, when you were talking about back when we were talking about membership and making sure things filter back, I think that's also important to remember, is that the reason we have a committee and then there's a separate production team and things like that is so that these roles can be dispersed properly. You know, a production, when you stage a show, for example, the director, whilst it might be their vision, the director shouldn't be responsible for every single little detail. You know, a director in an amateur theatre will probably get involved in other things, like you say, making props and doing bits and pieces on getting. But it's important that we don't then put too much on that person, and that everyone just uses a bit of initiative sometimes and goes, what needs to be done? What can I do to be helpful? And go and do it. I know that sometimes it can get frustrating during show week, and you might have seen it from me when people are constantly going, hang on, let me tell you what first before you start insulting me. When people are constantly going, what can I do now? What can I do now? And you stood there with like an empty stage and like, well, we've got 2 hours till the cast arrive. Find something. Yeah. You know what I mean? That can get a bit frustrating. So, you know, it's always good to appreciate the help, but sometimes just get involved, get stuck in, try and, you know, there's always something that can be done, isn't there?
Absolutely.
I think it's also prime example of Gill and I with Yobbo's 42nd Street production, where neither of us had ever fitted a wig onto a head and had a very crash course of about 15 minutes, and then went on to, I don't know, what was it, 25, 30 of them per night, Jill?
Per night. And changeovers in the interval as well.
Yeah.
My fingers were sore for literally weeks.
Yeah, the hair clips just down your fingernails. Oh God, yeah, it was, and in fact, I think that's the reason I ended up in hospital in Greece, because I think just after we went on holiday, and I think I inhaled so much hairspray that I ended up with a really severe chest infection, and literally ended up in a hospital. So there we are.
Oh,
what a
good story.
just because I'm aware of time, and there's so much that we could talk about. I mean, I'm sure we'll have you on again at some point in the future, but I do have one question that I want to ask all of you, and I'm sorry to spring this one on you, but I think I try and give a balanced conversation. Do you think as a committee, or it doesn't just have to be as ATC, do you think we've made any mistakes that we would possibly warn others against? I'll give you time to think. I'll talk a second while you think if you want. So I think, I don't think we've ever made any major mistakes which has cost us dearly in terms of financially or in terms of our reputation. I think we've definitely learnt things along the way. I think we have sometimes perhaps underestimated the requirements of certain things, whether it be the time that has been required to do something or the amount of support that we need. But I don't think we've ever made any major mistakes. Does anyone have any thoughts?
No, I think the challenge always comes with those elements that are in some ways specialisms. The wonderful people who can put wood together and build sets are always it blows my mind that people can take a drawing from someone and then go away and actually create it. And as you say, Ben, fingers crossed and touch wood, we've worked with such amazing people that we've never ended up with an issue. But I think that's one of the parts that we've had moments where someone's built something and walked into a school hall with it, and we've thought, oh my God, that's so big, it's never going to fit on the stage, kind of moments. That you kind of a big deep breath in, and we've always found a solution. That's the thing, is that we work with such nice people that nobody's ever built something that doesn't work intentionally. It's just been a mismatched communication again. So yeah, we've had a few moments of and panic, I think, and we've had a few moments, Bodicott, as well, where you've got bits of set and they just you get them on to where you thought they would work and they've just not worked, and you've had to kind of rebuild as you go, and as someone puts their foot through a set of steps or something, and then you've got to redo it. So those are the kind of problems that we've encountered.
I have thought that, I'm thinking back to kind of productions when I was teaching, and it does feel like set sometimes can kind of understandably get pushed a little bit down the list, just because you want to get the songs right, you want to get the dances right, you want to get the lines learned, things like that. And I think it can sometimes, me and Ben have, had our incidences with set in terms of Pride Rock for Lion King. It was a good first attempt, and then we found someone who could make it better for us.
I'll tell you more about that, Gill, when we do our episode on
things what have gone wrong.
Things that have gone wrong.
Yeah, it was a good attempt, Ben. I'm going to stick by that first Pride Rock. I'm glad we didn't use it. Again,
though, considering we were the director and the MD, and we were going to have to build the set, again, that's why you need to make sure you're getting involved, and if you've got that expertise, make sure you're helping, because don't leave it all to someone who's already got a big job to do.
It is, but I do think it is the technical. It does seem to be, for me, it's making sure you're getting really ahead of that. And we do, and you're right, Jill, there's always a solution. I don't think we've ever, I've only done 2 shows with you guys, but I'm thinking back to other shows I've been involved in, production team. It's never been to the point where, we can't go on. Mm. There's always a solution, but, there's been shows when I've been MD and backstage at the same time, which was fun, but very stressful. So it's kind of making sure that technical stuff doesn't get completely left. Mm. I think it can be easy to do.
But first of all, I'd just like to say that if you're going to actually do a podcast on things that go wrong, then I do expect to be on that.
Jennie, you will be. You might not be live, but we will talk of you.
Thank you. Just on that, so I can't think of any one specific thing that's gone wrong with the, you know, committee and so on. I think the fact that we're all very individual, we all come from different backgrounds, we've obviously all got the same.
Oh, she's gone mute. She's gone on mute.
Jennie, have you muted yourself, my dear?
Oh, brilliant. Right at the end. Yes.
Don't do that. Oi.
Not good for our mistakes episode.
I don't know what I did. I didn't even touch anything. Someone's telling me something there. Was it you? I bet it was one of you, wasn't it? You got the ability to put me on mute. Things that go wrong, that's just typical. That happens, isn't it? As we're talking about that. There you go. You see, what proved my point. But anyway, no, I just think that, as I say, we're just from different, you know, walks of life. We all bring something into that committee, and I think that, yeah, all of those different personalities just mold together to make sure that, you know, we try and get things right the first time round, and you know, we talk really well, and obviously we have the meetings, and then we can carry things on in group chats and stuff like that afterwards, making lots of decisions, not just at meetings but obviously outside of that as well. So yeah, I think it works really well, and I can't think of anything specific that's gone very wrong yet.
You know what, that's a good point, and that's, as we finish off, I want to leave you with that as one of my top tips. And Gill, you've mentioned this already, but if anyone's listening and wants our top tip, communication between committee members, if you've got a committee, and then with the wider membership, is so important. We all have a group chat on Facebook, and we can easily communicate ideas. We don't have to save them all until one big long meeting that ends up being 3 or 4 hours long because we saved it up. I think, you know, we keep communicating, even if it's something small. You know, we don't necessarily expect everyone to give a response or feedback, but if a couple people do, it just helps solidify that. And I think that's one of our strengths, and it's something I would give as a top tip. Make sure you communicate as a team, and then that will then communicate wider to the membership, I think.
Brilliant stuff.
Anyway,
it's time to play the end credits.
It about is. So thank you. First of all, thank you to Louise and Jennie for joining us.
Whoop, whoop.
It's been lovely having you on. I'm sure we'll have you on again at some point. Make sure, if you're listening, that you like our Facebook page so you can join in for our next topic of the week, which hopefully...
Topic of the week.
Oh, God. Which, if plans go right, will be a very interesting and fun one. Just as this one has been, don't get me wrong. But please do like our Facebook page. And thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone.
See you
Dance
next
along
week.
to the exit music, people. Bye-bye.